So do you think that real estate investing only makes sense on either coast or only in markets that you're hearing on the news all the time? Well, you're not alone. But here's the thing. While a lot of new investors chase sky-high prices in saturated markets, some of the best investment opportunities are simply hiding in plain sight all throughout the Midwest. So imagine buying properties at half the price for double the stability and still seeing huge returns. You're listening to the Real Estate Fast Pass, where we break down the numbers, the strategy, and the systems that help high income earners build passive income through real estate. My name is Jimmy Vreeland, and I'm your guide to building wealth through real, practical investing without any of the hype. So today on the show, we're asking, why are more investors turning to the Midwest? And what makes these markets such an ideal place to start investing in real estate? We're going to talk market fundamentals and share a few real deals from markets like St. Louis and Little Rock. And we're going to talk about how we help investors lock in solid returns without overextending themselves. So in this episode, you're going to learn three key things. Number one is what makes Midwest markets more resilient and less volatile, how lower purchase prices translate to higher cash-on-cash returns, and why you don't need to live near your properties to invest confidently. And stick around for a story that might make you rethink how you think about these boring markets and why these things are anything but boring. So if you're ready to rethink where the opportunity really lives, check out this episode of the Real Estate Fast Pass. All righty, welcome back. Hold on, boo. If you guys hear that, opening up my Jocko energy drink. My dream of this podcast, I really don't want to monetize it, but I do want to get sponsored by Jocko. So if you know anybody out there knows Jocko, let them know I'm a big fan of these drinks. All right, this episode today, we're going to be answering the question, why rentals in the Midwest? Why do we only do deals in the Midwest? And my beautiful host coming back for a second episode, Susie Vreeland. How you doing, boo?
I'm wonderful. I'm very excited to be here. So we've been getting some questions from individuals calling in asking why St. Louis. And I'd like Jimmy to talk a little bit about that. So I always have the bright idea to, when you think about getting a rental property, I think it sounds really exciting to have a home in Florida or have a place in Colorado or Utah and
maybe Branson, Missouri.
Or maybe Branson, Missouri. So I sometimes have those bright ideas. And what is that conversation like when people come to you and they ask you for advice on where to buy a property? What do you recommend?
I'm like, you want to buy a property in an area that was like my athletic career, exceptionally mediocre.
Don't say that about yourself.
And so my athletic career, I was never going to just destroy someone, like just dunk on people, make it very easy. And so a property comparison to that would be, say, like Florida, the appreciation they've seen pretty much anywhere on the either coast, and some Utah and some Arizona.
Because I will say, I do get excited about the prospect of having a place in like Park City.
Yeah.
And I'll, look around. I'll look at places in Florida that we've gone and loved and have aspirations of going to spring training with the kids.
Yeah.
And
something very exciting that's very desirable that everybody wants.
But at the end of the day, we decide to just...
Now, you don't want, say, like a complete ghetto. You don't want...
No.
Now, athletically, I was never going to get destroyed either. So you don't want like a Detroit.
So let's get to that. So I grew up in Kansas City. I lived in Austin, Texas, which is like taken off.
Yeah.
You lived in Savannah and Seattle. So why wouldn't you buy real estate in like an Austin, Texas, or a Seattle or a Savannah?
Because you don't know, in those hot markets, they always retract. They always come down in price. You don't know if you're in the boom or the bust. And so when I want a rental property, I want to hold the houses for 10 years. So I want markets that are going to keep pace with inflation for 10 years, be exceedingly mediocre and unexciting. Austin's very exciting, but if the market does turn, people are already kind of experiencing this in Austin, but they're going to lose.
So what is it that makes St. Louis stable though? Like,
it's exceptionally mediocre in everything. It's in the middle of the country. It's middling in everything. Now, is great about St. Louis, it is the 20th largest city in the country. Not a lot of people know that, but we have great. And then here's something else people don't know about St. Louis. In all the financial firms in 2008, when they got hammered, so like Scottrade, E-Trade, some of those other financial firms, to save on cost of living, they moved everybody to St. Louis. So we have a lot of industries that's hiding in plain sight. Also, both of the main rivers in this country come together in St. Louis. So there's always going to be trade, always going to be shipping. But it's not like Florida. It's not like a port in California. It's just exceptionally middling.
Yeah.
And the great part about that, like even in 2008, when the real estate market crashed, St. Louis only went down 9%.
Yeah.
Where California got cut in half.
Yeah. It's not, I mean, it's not a huge, to me, it's not a big transplant city. Like Austin.
Yeah.
Me and everybody else, it's like nobody was actually from Austin there. But in St. Louis, I find at least, there's generations of families, even in the neighborhoods that you buy. Like, what are the neighborhoods? Let's talk about that in St. Louis. Because
let me give a little plug to Little Rock.
Yeah.
Little Rock it's experienced a little more growth than St. Louis, but it's kind of getting caught up to St. Louis. We got a lot of Walmart money down there. But the great thing about Walmart is, people have known about St. Louis being cash flow heaven, and every hedge fund has known about St. Louis for like 10 years now. So it's a very more efficient market than Little Rock. Nobody knows about Little Rock right now and the great returns. And the Little Rock is the same houses in St. Louis, looks like the same neighborhoods, but without the heavy investor activity.
Yeah.
Which is why great houses. Wichita, same thing. Kind of an up and coming rental area or investment area.
Yeah. Numbers wise, very similar.
They're all the same. Do you want to talk? Should we talk? So the funny part would also inspire this podcast is Maria, our 15-year-old, was asking about this week.
She's had a lot of questions these days.
Yeah, but she's like, Dad, why only in the Midwest? And I'm like, well, price to rent ratio. Now, a 15-year-old doesn't understand a price to rent ratio. But I had to explain to her, like, hey, in California, the house is going to be $400,000 and rent out at $1,800 a month. Where in St. Louis, you're going to get $1,800 a month, and the house will be half the price.
Yeah.
So do you think she understood it?
I think she gets it. And it's a little bit of the, she's 14 years old, and I think it would be cool probably for a 14-year-old to say like, oh, we've got properties on the coast of California and all over the place, but they're all here.
Yeah.
And personally, I would rather have 10 houses here. It's like Moneyball.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to hit a home run with a really expensive house on a coast or an Austin or an up and coming city, I'd rather have many reliable properties in the Midwest.
So getting on base and hitting singles.
Yeah.
And we actually had this argument this fall because, well, here when Johnny is, how old is Johnny? 10?
He's 10.
So he's in 4th grade. And when he's out of high school, I'm like, poof, I want to move to Jupiter, Florida. And Susie, what would you rather do?
I'm not moving. I'm staying here.
I know, but instead of buying a house in Florida for February and March, 60 days I don't enjoy being in St. Louis. Your suggestion was, why don't we just buy 10 more rentals in St. Louis and then pay for the Airbnb?
Yeah. I was like, well, just buy more homes here and get a really nice Airbnb and have a nice setup there for the few months. I don't want to deal with a hurricane when I'm here. I don't want to deal with any of the unknowns.
The other 10 months.
Yeah, absolutely not.
So you know, podcast listeners, we have these same conversations in our house all the time.
Yeah, but it is interesting now getting the kids' perspectives and getting their input on it. So how then, because anybody looking for like a retail home for themselves is having a difficult time these days. So like, how are you even able to find and acquire these houses?
Because we go direct to seller. What is different about our program is my team is very good at wholesaling, going direct to seller. And where a huge transfer of wealth is happening right now is most baby boomers hold their wealth inside their houses.
Mm-hmm.
And they need to exit and liquidate those houses. That's where we come in. And then we sell it to younger people. But to answer your question is because we are a sales and marketing company and go direct to seller.
Yeah. And then how do you know which areas are best? Because St. Louis is very neighborhood by neighborhood. Like St. Louis is notorious for people saying like, where'd you go to high school? Where do you live? Like there's all these pockets of St. Louis that are very unique. So how do you know what to look for?
The school of hard knocks. We've just bought so many bad houses in neighborhoods we shouldn't. We know to stay out of there.
I'm pretty sure 100% of the buys that you've made are excellent.
No. And then in Little Rock, we have a boots on the ground agent who's telling us where to stay out of and where not to stay out of. But the other thing to look for is, so you're going to see on the internet, they got a bunch of Section 8 hustler gurus telling people to buy $100,000 houses for $1,000 of Section 8 rent. That's where we started. And I will tell you, those houses will not appreciate. The tenants are highly volatile. Yeah. And it's just not a way to build wealth. It's a way to get a low-paying job in real estate. And it is a good way to start. If you're starting and you don't have the cash, I think it's a great way to start. And I don't regret us starting there. But we are currently in the process of trading out of those assets.
Like what you talk about, like B, C, D classes, where do you put those homes? Like the $100,000 homes.
$0 to $80,000 is a D. 80 to 130, and this is in the Midwest. 80 to 130, 140 is a C. 140 to 180 is a B. Mm-hmm. 180 to 230 is an A. And then after 230, you're not going to have the right price to rent ratio, and so those become flips.
So it might astonish somebody who lives on the East or the West Coast to hear that you can get like a really nice house.
The Californians?
Yeah.
The Californians who come across, they love that.
Yes.
They adore it.
So right now, you're living in like the B.
No, we're living in
C.
the A.
Oh, A's.
Yeah. I would say 70% of our deals are the final ARV is around $200,000
for a 3-bed, 2-bath.
Yeah, I mean that's what we're targeting. We're targeting that with the male. So the other thing you got to understand is we can control what type of assets we bring in. We can't control what a TV lead looks like. TV comes in forever. So anything like C-Class right now, we're just wholesaling. Mm-hmm. It doesn't go to people who buy our done-for-you service.
Yeah,
we're just wholesaling those to local buyers who are starting themselves. And what was I saying?
The class that you're buying in. So
I guess. Yeah. So because right now the people we're working with are high net worth individuals, high income earners, and they don't have a cash flow problem. They have a wealth and tax preservation problem. And so if they're trying to, the brain damage to buy a C-class asset is the same brain damage for an A-class asset. And so these high net individuals, they need to maximize the tax benefit. To maximize the tax benefit, they got to buy a more expensive house.
Yeah.
To maximize appreciation, to maximize the leverage, they got to buy a more expensive house.
Yeah. And you did have a good podcast with Shannon House.
Yeah.
Maybe like 3 podcasts ago.
Yeah.
Talking about kind of his journey with this and the tax advantages, and then the one with our CPA Krigler.
If you're starting and you're under 35, hammer away at those C-class assets. But that's what we were doing when we were that age.
That is true.
But like right now with the people we are working with, like established people, you just need to.
So what do these neighborhoods look like?
So you're looking at price to rent ratio, and you're also looking at levels of ownership. These A-class assets are also half owners, half renters. And the reason you want that is because when you want to exit out of these houses in 5 to 10 years, if you're going to sell to an investor, they're going to beat you down. If you have still retail people buying in those neighborhoods, you're going to get a retail price and you're going to maximize the value of the house.
Yeah. So what I think people find interesting, because we have this big event called Cash Flow Heaven, where people will come in town and look at the neighborhoods and look at houses, and they see maybe a home that we just acquired, one that's in rehab, a finished product. But I think they're surprised at the neighborhoods. So like describe what does a neighborhood look like?
It just looks like a nice,
Like the yards.
it looks like a nice middle-class neighborhood.
I know, but I think people from the coasts.
Well, yeah, they hear a $200,000 house and they think the ghetto.
We're used to it.
Yeah, in California, a $200,000 house, I believe, is the ghetto.
These are like beautifully maintained neighborhoods, nice mowed lawns, people out watering their yards.
It's great people. It's just it's hard to get loans right now. So great residents, great tenants, great neighborhoods. It's just they're tenants. They're residents right now. They don't want to buy.
Jimmy does tend to choose neighborhoods by the ratio of American flags and
if you're going to do this, this is an insider tip. If you're going to do this on your own, do not buy a house that does not have the American flag, or you got a hammer when you got a Marine flag out there, because that Marine is going to watch everything.
It's usually on the porch.
So if it's in the Midwest, you want zoysia grass, and you want an American flag, or you want a Marine flag. Now, an Air Force flag, I don't know, but if Army and Marine
we
flag,
don't want to discriminate against.
Well, I mean,
if it's
when they're sitting in their chair, their combat experience is sitting in a chair, and I don't know what they're going to do with hoodlums in the neighborhood. Where a Marine, an Army guy, he doesn't care. He's going to get after that guy. He's going to protect the neighborhood.
You're right.
Yeah. So insider tip there. Look for those flags.
Okay. So how can a buyer know that they're doing right by the tenant, that this is like a good home, it's being well maintained?
They have to have a well-paid property management team who cares and has an incentive to care. So people who want to beat down their property manager, it's just not smart. It's not good for the resident. And then if you do the math, and I've done this math, we did a different podcast on this. If you do the math, you're going to make most of your money from appreciation. So the maintenance calls is maintaining that asset. Maintain. It's going to maintain that asset so that you can extract the most amount of wealth on this. And so you don't want a shady property management team so like our team, if anything water related, anything sewage related, if it's in the summer, anything AC related, if it's in the winter, anything heat related, we are going out. It doesn't matter if it's the middle of the night, we're going out.
Yeah.
And we're not calling you, and we will send the bill, because that's the service a great resident's going to demand. Yeah.
Well, and for us, I remember when we were building out the property management company, I mean, that was it's like, if it is this hot, this is an emergency. Like, this is a 5-alarm fire. Get somebody out there no matter what. Like, we're not going to call the owner and get approval at 2 a.m. That's just got to be done.
The residents you want in your house are going to tolerate nothing less. So the fact that you have a couple $100 extra in maintenance, who cares?
Yeah.
And you shouldn't care.
Well, and you should reflect on, if you own your own property, you have to do stuff. We are getting gutters installed today.
Yeah.
Stuff's always getting done around the house to keep it maintained. So speaking to that, how many properties do we currently manage?
810, as the count was today. I checked with Rahman.
Okay. That's a lot.
Yeah. And we are, for people who don't know, we are managing in Little Rock as well.
So there is a small army of people taking care of stuff and taking care of the owner requests, resident requests, all that stuff. Tell me about these occupancy inspections, because I have heard from people that have tried to, other investors that have tried to come to St. Louis.
Yeah.
Maybe do a deal and quickly leave.
Occupancy inspection, I have a libertarian slant. I do not like working with government bureaucrats. These do piss me off. But at the end of the day, they are a state-funded HOA. If you invest in St. Louis, there is no occupancy inspections in Little Rock.
Yeah.
And so part of me think that's cool. Part of me is like, oh, it could get a little hairy, because there isn't that.
Especially in those D-class assets.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, the A-class in Little Rock, I think, is an advantage for sure.
Yeah. But I think.
That's the other thing in St. Louis, the A-class neighborhoods, the inspectors aren't as big a jerks.
But to their credit, I mean, they are making sure, because I'm sure there's people that come in and do a terrible job on make readies between tenants, and they're trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
So they're trying to weed out.
So we've had several people call us and be like, hey, we want you to buy us and manage C-class assets, C and D-class assets, and we'll only do like $3,000 for a make ready. And we're like, no, dude, we are not playing this game anymore. It is painful and it's horrible.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the inspectors, to their credit, are trying to limit these hedge fund type iBuyers who are putting out a crappy product.
Speaking of, so when you guys go on calls, like, because Jimmy's beautiful face is on TV commercials, you often do morning shows.
Yes.
Just so people can kind of get to know who you are.
Yeah.
And when you go on calls, like, there are other people in the market trying to go after these sellers, like to do similar to what we're doing.
Yeah.
What is their story? Like, they usually, so
I don't know.
Well,
I don't care.
Okay. So they usually say that they've talked to these people and have maybe had a less than ideal experience.
Yeah. So a lot of out-of-state buyers or iBuyers, they just rip off a number, tell the seller they're going to give them this price. It's completely unrealistic. They string them along, and then when they can't sell the house, they ask for a price reduction and beat the seller down. So we get a lot of deals where we're like, first and foremost, we can't pay you that much. And then they go with the other offer. The other offer doesn't close, and then they come back to us.
Yeah. I wasn't suggesting you name names or anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think people are usually pretty relieved when. Okay. What else do you think? What are your final points on why St. Louis, Little Rock, Wichita, these Midwest cities are so great, and why you want to focus on those?
The price to rent ratio, and they go up 5%. They keep pace with inflation, because if you're investing in this stuff, the main thing this is going to do, it's going to help you use leverage to keep pace with inflation. And I think I'm going to allude to it. We should talk about it on another podcast because we're running out of time here. But we have had people come to us and want to do a TV show.
Oh, yeah.
And we get to like the final interview and they're like, well, what about design? What are you going to do for design? And we're like, nothing. We are doing Henry Ford real estate. We are going to do the same kitchen 250 times this year. We are going to do the same bathroom 250 times this year. We are going to have 2 paint SKUs, 2 flooring SKUs. So this is not necessarily the finishes you would put on your personal residence. We are going for Henry Ford style, 2 SKUs over and over and over again to take out the variability. And because we also know what the residents want. Yeah,
I remember that was a funny conversation. We were like in the
final. It was an amazing. I go to the producer. I'm like, dude, you will get so many viewers because so many people want to invest, and we're going to show them how to actually invest.
But they wanted us to they were about to pitch a show for like a veteran-owned, flipping company in St. Louis, and they wanted us to on make readies, like between tenants or when we're rehabbing the house, when somebody owns it. And we're very conscious of the timeline of these projects if somebody else owns it.
Yeah.
And we want to do right by the buyer. And they were suggesting that they have their film crew come out and film for a couple days, and we go to the design store and we pick stuff out like Joanna Gaines.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, we are not doing Chip and Joanna here.
No. So my point to these people trying to pitch this show is we're not going to delay a project for a week or so for your people to come in and film and us to debate about a backsplash or the color of paint, anything.
On our flips, we got hard money. I'm not paying extra interest so they can do that.
So I told them, I said that you're welcome to come and bring your cameras and be a fly on the wall, but we're not going to delay our projects or buy expensive unnecessary finishes and put that cost on our owners, you silly people.
We're going to bootstrap and just do it on YouTube ourselves. It's going to be huge.
We could like a vlog.
Yeah.
I'll just follow you around with a GoPro.
It would be amazing.
All right.
All right. Well, I think that's what we got. Do you think we thoroughly answered why buy in the Midwest?
I feel satisfied.
Okay. Hopefully the listener does as well. So if you got value out of this episode and you enjoy this podcast, please like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you on the next episode. So if you like what you heard today and you want to learn more, sign up for a discovery call with one of the Vreeland Capital success coaches at jimmyvreeland.com.